Good afternoon, everybody. This is Karolina from State Adventures. I thought it would be a good idea to jump on here and talk about the Galapagos Islands and all the options that we have available. Ecuador has been our #1 destination in 2022. Finally, it is on people's bucket lists. Finally, people are discovering this wonderful gem in South America. Ecuador is one of my favorite places in the world, so I'm very happy to help so many people this year with traveling to the islands. However, it is a protected area. There is a lot of logistics, so it is always a good idea to chat with us about your expectations, what you're looking for. So I put together this short video to help you figure out beginnings of what to put together for your trip, because every trip to the Galapagos is different for every one of our clients. So let me share my screen and you'll be able to see this short slideshow here. Here we go. So Galapagos with State Adventures, there are so many different options. So I'm going to jump right into it. Why are we visiting the Galapagos? There are so many different reasons. #1 reason why people are coming here is for the wildlife. So there are many islands in the archipelago, and every island is home to different species of marine iguanas, land iguanas, turtles, tortoises, all sorts of bird life, sea lions, of course, all the creatures in the ocean. When you go snorkeling, we have wonderful dive expeditions for hammer sharks and so many different types of wildlife. What is special about the wildlife in the Galapagos that is different from anywhere else in the world is that they have been living without predators for so many years, millions of years, right? That they have no fear. So you can get very close to animals in the Galapagos, and that's what makes it special. Snorkeling. This is one of the best places in the whole world to go snorkeling because of the abundance of wildlife above and below the waterline. Of course, diving is also a big deal here. So if you are a diver, we have specific cruises that will depart just for diving. So you can dive every day, twice a day. Or you can do a regular cruise, and we literally hire a diving boat to come up to your big boat, pick you up, and take you for a day excursion. So while everybody else is doing their hiking or explorations, you are diving for the day. So if you just want to experience diving for a day, that is an option. So there's many different ways that we do our expeditions. You just need to chat with me about what it is that you would like to do. But snorkeling, it's a given. We do that from land, from boat, deep water, shallow water. We do it at least once a day. You're going to be able to get into the water, regardless if it's kayaking, snorkeling, swimming. We provide all the wetsuits, all the equipment, so you don't have to bring anything from home unless you need a specific mask or something like that. Adventure. So I like to tell people that Galapagos is not a vacation. It is an expedition because it is usually a very busy itinerary. You're going to be doing 2 excursions daily, usually a morning one and an afternoon one. There's plenty of hiking. These islands are quite magical. They're volcanic islands, so there's lava flow, there's active volcano, there's amazing hikes. You're going to go to white beaches, red beaches, black sand beaches. There's just so much diversity on each island. And we will make sure you're prepared every day for what's coming up the following day. We'll let you know if it's a wet landing, which means you're stepping into the water and your feet will get wet, or if it's a dry landing. And that means we're going to step from the panga onto a dock or a rock, somewhere where you're not going to be getting your feet wet, and so many different other ways to make sure you are prepared. Of course, I give you an elaborate packing list ahead of time, what to expect, what to bring and what not to bring, and all sorts of different information. So it is purely an adventure, once in a lifetime a trip for many people. I have been to Ecuador 7 times now. I'm already planning my next trip. It is a place where you can keep going over and over because there's so much to discover in this little island. And Galapagos, because it is so far, it's a 2.5 hour flight from the mainland. It's quite expensive. You have to pay an entry ticket, an ID card. You have to get that additional flight. Most people do plan it really well and do it one time. And that's why I'm here for you to make sure that your itinerary works for you. I do want to mention beaches because they are so beautiful here, and we always make sure you have some time, but for sure it is not a beach destination. We're not going here to lay out in the sand, like you would in the Caribbean or somewhere else in South America, maybe Brazil, but you will have plenty of time to enjoy the beaches as well. They're usually filled with the locals, which are sea lions, huge colonies, and birds and turtles and iguanas. So it's quite an exciting way to enjoy some sand. And of course, discovery. There are so many research centers in the Galapagos. On each of the islands that has a village, which is 3 of the islands have people living there full time. Santa Cruz, San Cristobal, and Isabela, all 3 of them have villages that you can stay in, and of course do all the research, and you will come across scientists doing all kinds of different discoveries, and you will hear about different species being discovered perhaps while you're there. So it's a really exciting, thriving community surrounded around the wildlife and what's happening with the flora and fauna of the islands. And I want to say that besides the wildlife and besides the beaches and the little sites that you're going to be seeing off your boat or off your cruise or whichever way we do the itinerary, there are also highlands where there are people growing coffee and cacao plantations where you will be able to taste chocolates. So all of these different explorations, we like to include them on your itinerary, going into caves, even having dinner inside a cave. I do it all. So just let me know what it is that you're maybe celebrating, and we'll make sure it's special. So just the logistics. Here's a quick map, and I'll always like to know where I am on the map because it helps me kind of figure out how much I can do maybe in a week or 10 days, whatever it is that you have. So when you arrive to Ecuador, most likely you're going to arrive to Quito, which is the main airport here. There is a second main international airport. It's Guayaquil. It's on the coast right here. So either city is a good departure for the Galapagos, which is a 2.5 hour flight west. But I always like to start my guests in Quito. Quito is an old colonial city. It's quite beautiful. So spending a few days here is a good idea because once you're in the islands, it's a completely different culture. And I always want you to experience a little bit of that Andes culture, the indigenous communities of Ecuador. It's quite a colorful, welcoming, and warm environment here. And we have some fantastic people that you can meet along the way in Otavalo, which is the largest indigenous market, or in Cotopaxi, which is a famous active volcano with lots of little ranches are all around the volcano where we sometimes stay the night or just go for lunch or go horseback riding. So many different opportunities there. So I always give you a little taste of Ecuador before we go to the islands, but we take care of all the logistics. And because this is a protected archipelago protected by the government, there are many, many rules to get to the island, and we make sure that it's smooth for you. Now, there's so many different ways to explore, and this is where people get really frustrated and confused and are not sure, and sometimes they just book whatever comes up on their options first. And I want to discuss with you all the different ways we can enjoy the Galapagos. So the first one, and kind of the traditional one, because this used to be the main way to do it, is large ships. Now, these are not ships like in the Caribbean. The largest one holds 100 passengers, and this is maximum. There is no larger ship in the Galapagos. So 100-person boat, it means that you have kind of more anonymous feel on boat. You're not going to get to know everybody. You're going to be split into groups of 16 with a local guide for each of those groups. So perhaps there's a German group or a Spanish-speaking group or families that are grouped together. So keep that in mind that you will be in a smaller group and you don't have a choice of what group to be in. The boat makes that decision and you will be with them the whole period of your travel. Now, on board such a big boat, there's usually extras that you won't see on smaller boats, like a lot of space to enjoy, maybe a pool, maybe a library, lots of game rooms. This particular boat, which is the Isabella II, has a glass bottom boat that you can go out of. They have a children's club where kids can enjoy. They have connecting rooms. So lots of little extra things. So if you enjoy larger boats, not really getting to know everyone, perhaps a little bit more formal at dinner because you're going to have to wear shoes on this boat, this will be the good option for you. And they do a 3-night, 4-night, and 7-night option in the Galapagos. The second one, and to me, the most famous way to enjoy the Galapagos, is the 16-person yacht. And 16 is a kind of a magical number in the Galapagos because that is the maximum amount of people that a guide can take onto any site. So you will never see more than groups of 16 at any given time. So a 16-person yacht, there's about 30 of these, and I work with all of them and I know them, and I've been working with them for the last 16 years. They offer 8 cabins, 16 people max. And some of them have balconies. Some of them are larger because they're catamarans. And many of them, and this is key, many of them have been built for the Galapagos. So if they are catamarans or even trimarans, they're cutting through the water much faster, which makes the trip quicker, which means you're visiting more sites. And because they're cutting through those waves with that double hulls, they're using less gas and it's more eco-friendly. So all around a better experience. And for anyone who is worried about motion sickness, and I will touch on the dates when you should travel if you are worried about that, then the catamarans and trimarans are the most stable. So even the large boat of 100 people is usually not as stable as a catamaran. So keep that in mind for anyone who is worried about seasickness. Now, another way to kind of tackle that seasickness issue is travel during those months when the water is calmest. So I would say from December to May, the water is very calm. From January to March and April, the water is really warm. So you don't need wetsuits. It's really pleasant to get in the water. The fall season, September, October, even the first 2 weeks of November are the coldest and the roughest seas. So rough that usually in September, a lot of these boats will be pulled out for maintenance and all kinds of different things that they're not even cruising. But coincidentally, those months happen to be the best months for diving. So you will see a lot of diving cruises go out that time because apparently the water is the clearest, there's lots of activity. Whatever it may be, it is the best for diving. So keep all those things in mind when thinking about when to travel. Of course, when the water is warmest, it is also spring break. So there's a lot of people visiting, and it also happens to be summer in South America. So a lot of South Americans are traveling. So it is always busy. The Galapagos are always busy. You will never find a season where it's low. But a 16-person catamaran travels 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights, even 14 nights. So they have a lot more options for itineraries. Now, another way to do the Galapagos is private island hopping. So what we're doing is we're still traveling amongst all the islands, but we're going to be sleeping in hotels. And I mentioned those 3 villages on those 3 islands. We actually have a 4th island called Floriana. There is no village there and no people are living there, but we built the lava lodge there. And so if you're doing a 7-night private island hopping, you will get to go and sleep on an island with no people except tortoises. So it's actually a fantastic add-on. So you're sleeping in hotels, you're having free afternoons, you can go out to dinner in the little villages. So there's a lot more flexibility here, but by day you have a private guide taking you on all the sites and a private vessel, like the one here. There's Windrose, there's Element, that will take you from point A to point B privately. So it's a really great option for families, for multi-generational groups that perhaps want a little bit more flexibility, don't want to be on board a boat for 7 nights and be stuck with the same people or eating the same type of food, and so on and so on. If you want flexibility, private island hopping really allows you the best of both worlds. You're on a boat during the day when you're going on excursions, but you're sleeping in hotels in the evenings. Another way to do a package is to stay put on one island. So on Santa Cruz, there are some amazing hotels from 3-star all the way to luxury. This is Picaya. It's one of my favorite hotels. And what you do is you book maybe 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights at one of these hotels. They have their own yacht. They have their own drivers and guides and all kinds of things that you do with the hotel. So they include all your meals, all your excursions, but you come back to the same hotel room every night. So you're only going to be able to visit islands and sites closer to Santa Cruz, or if you're staying on Isabela, closer to Isabela. So you're not seeing as much of the Galapagos, but you're getting a really in-depth stay. And also, if you go for one of the luxury properties, you're going to be spoiled throughout. I have done this at one of the trips that I went on, and I absolutely loved this. It really allowed me to meet local people, go to the coffee plantations, ride my bike around tortoises. So I really love this. And the good thing about the hotel packages is that you can combine it with a cruise. You can take a 3-night or a 4-night cruise and then end your trip with 3 nights in a beautiful hotel like this. That way there's no pressure to put too many activities into the last part of your trip. You can relax, you can really soak in the culture of the Galapagos. So lots of different options. And I wanted to also mention glamping. So this is Galapagos Safari Camp. This is a luxury African style tent, canvas tents. And they also do a full-on package. You can stay here just to rest at the end of your cruise, maybe for 2 nights, or you can book kind of like a hotel package where they include all your excursions, and they really do a beautiful job. This is fantastic for families. It's a real adventure just to sleep in a tent and hear, the wildlife of the Galapagos around you. Of course, there's no predators, so it's quite safe. And sunsets and sunrises are quite beautiful here in the highlands. I absolutely love staying here. Now, this is a luxury property. We also have another one called Galapagos Magic Camp that does a very similar program on a lower level price. So length of a trip. So 3 nights, just to show you the islands, what you can accomplish in 3 nights. If you only have 3 nights to the Galapagos, and I really would suggest a longer one because 3 nights will fly by so quickly, I suggest a cruise. Why? Because you will get to see more, because when you're eating and sleeping, you're moving, so you're not going to waste a lot of time. So in 3 nights, you can tackle at least 4 islands, which is fantastic. Now, if you go on a 7-night, you can see you can tackle a lot more in 7 nights. You can go to Isabela, you can go to Fernandina, which is on the other side, the furthest island. So this is a good span of time. And depending on the boat, you might even see more sites, all those little sites here. You might be able to tackle all of them if you're on one of the newer, faster boats. So keep that in mind. The more nights you have, the more islands, faraway islands, you'll be able to tackle. But, like I mentioned, you can have a custom itinerary. You can combine a cruise, 3-night cruise, like this picture below, and then end in a beautiful hotel in Santa Cruz, maybe on the beach, at the Finch Bay, or maybe at the Galapagos Magic Camp, which is this one. I mean, we even have tree houses. So there's something for everyone. I really would love to show you all the different options and not overwhelm you, because I know there's so many options. So just to wrap it up, I wanted to kind of give you an idea of pricing and what things cost. So that private island hopping, where you're staying in hotels, but you're having a private yacht take you from place to place, you can build this based on 4 people, based on 6 people, up to 16 people fit on the yacht. So that's what you can fit. And the more people you have, you're splitting the cost of the yacht. So it's going to get cheaper and cheaper. So here's an idea. It would be 11 days. 7 of those nights would be in the Galapagos, and then those 3 days in Quito, where I can give you a taste of the culture there. If you have a party of 4, the trip would be only about $8,000 split between, based on 4 people. So 11-day trip, fully inclusive with your flights and your meals and everything that's put together on the itinerary. So it's a great deal. Now, for that island hopping, every Monday, if it's not chartered out, we actually have a group departure. So if you're willing to share the yacht with other people who are visiting, that price automatically drops to $59.99. So again, so many different ways talk to me and I will show you how to do it. Now, if you go on a large ship like Isabella, like Santa Cruz, these are names of the boats, also names of the islands, so it could be confusing. If you go with a four-night cruise, so 3 nights in Quito, followed by a 4-night cruise, 8-day total, the price is about $67.99 to do that. And that's the large boat, lots of space, lots of amenities, a little bit more formal. So something for everyone, for sure. And then one of those small yachts that I mentioned, small yachts for 7 nights. Small yachts are usually less expensive than the larger boats because, again, they're smaller. They're not as many amenities on board, but they're kind of like barefoot luxury. You never wear shoes. You know everybody. There's a camaraderie amongst all the group of 16. It's never larger than 16, and you get a bang for your buck. There's 11 days here, and the trip is under $8,000. So something to consider for a smaller yacht, and that's kind of like a mid-range catamaran, for example. Now, if you want to go crazy and you have the time, you can do a luxury yacht, followed by Peru add-on. Again, we specialize in all of Latin America and have been to every country in Latin America that we offer. So we can easily have you travel after the cruise, go to Lima, go to Machu Picchu. Really, you're already down in South America. Why not see and check off a few things off your list? So if you do that with a Peru extension with a luxury boat in the Galapagos, then the price is about $13,000 per person. Something to consider because you won't have to do double flights if you're going to split it into 2 trips. So there's always a way to include it all. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope this helped you a little bit to figure out which direction you want to go with to the Galapagos. Remember, anyone can put together a trip, but we put together your trip. So reach out to us, saidadventures.com. Our email is info@saidadventures.com. And we are here to help you and find the right itinerary to the Galapagos for you. Happy travels.